Hello everyone, welcome back to Football Now for our preview of the latest round of Premier League fixtures. We'll run you through the betting odds and give our own predictions too. As you can see, I'm joined by Connor on screen for the 10 games this weekend. Connor, how are you doing?
Not too well, really. The prediction league's sort of gone south, so got a lot to recoup this weekend.
We'll come on to that in a moment. As you can see by the title of this video, we'll be focusing on the early kickoff on Saturday. Crystal Palace taking on title chasing Liverpool at Selhurst Park, 12:30 kickoff. It's always a sketchy one for potential bettors. We'll go through the betting odds first of all, but Connor's mentioned the predictor table there, so I'll bring it up on screen. As you can see, I've pulled away a little more with the midweek predictions. We've still got 2 games tonight as well, which we'll be waiting to see the results of. Maybe Connor will close that gap slightly before the weekend's games. But yeah, you get 3 points for the correct scoreline and 1 point for the correct result. It'll be interesting to see how that shapes up this time next week. But like I said, Crystal Palace versus Liverpool on Saturday. Do you want to talk us through the betting odds first of all, Connor? It should be coming on screen right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprises. Liverpool go off quite decent favourites there, 1-2. I think it's a bit of a combination of Liverpool flying high, like you said, title chasing Liverpool, 2 points off the top, and 4 points now clear of Manchester City. And Crystal Palace, after a pretty decent start to the season, haven't really found much the past 4 games. Just looking at the last 4 games, they'd lost last night 2-0 to Bournemouth at home as well, which was a really poor result. Decent draw at London Stadium before that, but then a 2-1 loss to Luton and then 3-2 to Everton. You know, you got 3 teams there that are all fighting to stay up that Crystal Palace have dropped points against in the past 4 games. So, that'll be slightly concerning. Not concerning in Crystal Palace fighting at the bottom of the table, but sitting in 14th place now. So if the teams below them start, get the odd win here and there, and Crystal Palace still struggling to get the points on the board, then could be panic stations. But at the moment, it's not too bad. But yeah, things need to change. Obviously, you mentioned there this is the early kickoff, 12:30. Jurgen Klopp won't be happy about that. I'm not sure if anybody saw it on Amazon Prime. It was the presenter made a bit of a harmless joke towards Jurgen Klopp, and he didn't go down too well, which I think Jurgen Klopp's been a bit of a miserable bastard the past 2 years. I really, really do. I don't know what's happened to him, but when he was at Dortmund and when he was at the first few seasons at Liverpool, he was fun. He was energetic. He had that charisma. Whereas now everything's just so serious, and there's no joking anymore, no sense of humour. And I just think he's really arrogant as well. So that's my thoughts on it. But yeah, no, in terms of the odds, I always think 1-2 is the bare minimum really that you want for a knacker, and it's very difficult to see Liverpool dropping points here. Yes, Selhurst Park is a tough place to go to, but the forms of the 2 sides are just complete opposites.
Yeah, we saw Liverpool, didn't we, last night away at Sheffield United. They get the job done. Eventually, Van Dijk scoring in the first half, Szoboszlai getting the second late on in the game as well. But Sheffield United, obviously, on the back of sacking Paul Heckingbottom and bringing in Chris Wilder again for his second tenure at the club, they had chances. And I think there's a feeling with Liverpool that we did enough on the night, but a better side might have punished us a bit more, especially on the counter-attack. Sheffield United had a few moments where you thought, with a better final ball, that they could have perhaps found the back of the net on a couple of occasions. There's always that, difficulty heading to a club where who's just sat there manager that, this new manager bounce, as we call it. But Liverpool ultimately got the job done. I think it's important that they keep pace with everything that Arsenal are doing at the minute. Obviously, Man City, who are going through a rough period, losing last night to away at Villa. But there's always in the back of that mind, it does feel like Liverpool out of the 3, because I think they're the 3, aren't they, that are being spoken about in the title race. Liverpool are probably the 3rd favourite. I think there's a lot more growing optimism for Arsenal at the minute, especially given what they did last season. And obviously, like I've mentioned, the drop of form of City. But Liverpool are quietly going about their business. They're doing enough. We saw the comeback against Fulham at the weekend, 3-2 down with minutes to go, and somehow turning it around to win 4-3. And there's 2 ways you can view it. I suppose you can say the same about Arsenal as well with their recent results too. That you're doing enough, but also at some point down the line, are you going to come unstuck by conceding these goals and by giving these teams these chances late on? And Palace, I know that you mentioned their form has been it's been a drop in form as of late, especially. But it's always that feeling about Selhurst Park that you're always going to be in for a tough game, and especially the early kickoff as well. I know maybe it's just a conspiracy there, but there's that added feeling that another layer of difficulty, if you like, and it is a game where Liverpool rightly enter as huge favourites, but will they? You never know. You just can't call it in this Premier League season, can you? If you look at, like I said, with Man City, obviously they're going to an informed Villa last night, but all it takes is a few bad results, and you can find yourself looking up at the teams above you. Alisson is obviously out injured. Kelleher was more convincing last night than he was against Fulham. I think Alisson's going to be back in a couple of weeks. Andy Robertson hopefully should return as well. I'm not sure on the return of Thiago and Bajcetic. It's ongoing. They've been out all season, pretty much. But how you're an Arsenal fan, obviously, Connor, and like I said, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City talking about the title race. How do you view Liverpool right now? How seriously are you taking Liverpool in terms of a rival for the title?
Well, I'm not sure I'm taking Arsenal seriously at the moment, and I don't know whether that's just me being a little bit pessimistic to save disappointment further down the line. But I think my optimism really comes from the fact that I think City are really struggling, and I know City have periods, towards the start of the season where they do drop points and have done in previous seasons, still gone on to romp away with the title. But this is different because the performances aren't there for City. I mean, Aston Villa are in great form, but City were battered yesterday. I mean, if I just get the stats up, because it was unbelievable. I've not seen a City side, a City game like it in a long time. It was only a 1-0 victory for Aston Villa, but I mean, listen to this: expected goals. And I know people have their own opinion about expected goals. Me personally, I think it's a good barometer of how you've performed, and I think that's why a lot of the clubs use it to gauge performance. Aston Villa 2.06, Manchester City 0.86. Yeah. I mean, that's just unbelievable. Aston Villa had 22 shots. City had 2.
Yeah.
Aston Villa had 20 more shots on target. City didn't get a single corner. Aston Villa had 6 corners. Every single stat was in the favour of Aston Villa by a heavy margin. And that it's been 4 games now without a win for Manchester City, 4 Premier League games. So that's where my optimism comes from. In terms of Arsenal, I think they're still lacking creatively. I know yesterday, or was it the day before, the day before I think it was, when we very, very narrowly scraped past Luton 4-3 last minute goal. We shipped 3 goals that weren't good. Two from a corner as well. It's always poor to concede. But I think defensively we have been very, very good this season, more stable than what we were. But going forward, that potency isn't there. It was highlighted in the Newcastle game against when we lost Martin Odegaard. Where was the creativity? So I think that would become Arsenal's downfall sort of throughout the season. So it does open the door for Liverpool. But again, I think they're in a pretty, in the same boat almost. I think going forward, there's never been any questions about Liverpool. They are the second highest scorers in the league after Man City. They've scored 34 goals this season, and they have the joint best defensive record with Arsenal and Newcastle. But if they can keep everybody fit, and it's a bit like when Liverpool won the title, if they can keep everyone fit for most of the season, then I think they've got a chance. Same with Arsenal. But it's that squad depth that they lack. And I know City's squad that isn't maybe as big as what it has been. I know you mentioned it in a previous video, but I still think they have the best squad out of those 2. But yeah, in terms of the best 11 out of all 3 sides, I really don't think there's a lot in it. But don't forget, City have got Kevin De Bruyne to come back, and that is a game changer.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've mentioned Palace as well. They've won now in 4 games, is it? They've not won it since the Napoli win it totally. After this, they travel to the Etihad, and then they host Brighton at home. Obviously, which is a big game, big rivalry between those 2. And then they play Chelsea away. So it's it's not an easy run up to Christmas and the New Year for Crystal Palace. Like you said, ultimately they're far too good to go down, which we did say about Leicester last year. When you look at that bottom 3, I'm sure they'll be fine. But I think there's a few clubs right now, Nottingham Forest being another one, where you just don't want to get into the habit of continually dropping points and losing games and find yourself in a position where ultimately you shouldn't be in. having said all that, we'll go on to our predictions. As you said, I've mentioned the predictors table at the top. Connor, do you want me to go first this week? Are you?
Yes, you go first.
Okay, I'll go for a 2-0 away win for Liverpool. Tight game, but I expect them ultimately to have too much for Palace.
Right, I was going to do the same. So what should I do? I'll be kicking myself though if it's 2-0. No, you know what? I'm going to stick with my goal. I am going to go 2-0 as well. The last thing I want to do is change my mind and then it's 2-0 because that would just be an absolute nightmare. So yeah, like you said, it is a tough place to go. So I don't think Liverpool are going to run riot at Salah's part. But yeah, I just think Liverpool are going to have too much.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, anyway, from my point of view as a Liverpool fan, let us know your own thoughts in the comments about this game and all the other games. You'll be doing videos for all 10 games as usual, which you can find over on the channel. You can check out all our affiliated channels down below in the description. I'll put links to them as well. Thank you for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. We'll move on to the Saturday 3 o'clock games.